You're watching It's Life Live with your hosts, Juan Lee and Oliver Marcel. Come join us for enriching, enlightening, encouraging, and thought-provoking conversation. Let's go.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to It's Life Live. My name is Juan Lee, and welcome to It's Life Live. Hey, I am on my own again tonight. Oliver has a prior engagement, a speaking engagement tonight, so it's just going to be me and our guest tonight. So, with that being said, welcome. If this is your first time here tonight, thank you for spending your afternoon or evening with us here, no matter where you are or around the world. We appreciate you being here. If it's something that you like, please give us a like as you come through and see what we're talking about. And if you have not registered or subscribed to our YouTube channel or our email address or our Facebook or our Instagram or YouTube, please do that. We look forward to you becoming a part of the community. We are a nonprofit. Clear Journey is a nonprofit that supports individuals that are looking for answers to life's challenges. And what we do at Clear Journey is we give you the mindset for success, using the attitudes of love to help you navigate life more successfully. We will give you education and resources so that you might be able to be your very best at what you do and what you desire to do in your life. One of the things that we have, I am an author, and I am an author of a book called Love Made Simple, The Guide to Inner Peace, Contentment, and Success. And that's where we come from, get the love mindset from. And we add those mindsets to the practical application of every area of your life, how you can navigate life using those mindsets, those attitudes. And in addition to that, one of the areas that we deal with, and we think that it's very pivotal in the navigating our journey, is we have a book that if you want to know more about, it's about finances. It's about having your ability to budgeting made easy, the guide to taking charge of your money. We think that that's critical. It's a very important part of having the proper mindset with your finances, in your relationships, in your health, in your development, self-development. But finances is one of those things that you're going to need to be able to reach your goals. And knowing how to manage that, it's essential. So if you don't have this already, go over to our website and you can pick it up there. The website is clearjourney.org. It's clearjourney.org, and you will find where we have a lot more information there for you. We have 8 areas that we cover, and we have tips over there for you. But if you want to get more information about Clear Journey, go over to clearjourney.org, and it's all out there for you. We again appreciate you for being with us this evening. And tonight we're going to be talking about relationships. And in relationships, what are the attitudes that we talk about? The attitudes that you need in relationship are very significant. I mean, there is a lot of them, because we need to have sacrifice, humility, discipline, caring, responsibility, humility. All of those are characteristics, those attitudes that you need to be able to have a successful relationship. And tonight, our guest is probably going to show you how those attitudes are very prevalent in being able to navigate your relationships. So it's very important to have it. And sometimes we don't really know exactly what attitudes we need to have in our relationships, but those are some of the attitudes that love allows us to use as tools in our relationships. And tonight we have a guest. Our special guest is Dr. Janice Fortman. She basically uses our special guest she's a relationship coach, communication expert with over 20 years of experience, sharing her journey and insights into the world of her experiences as a host of Relationship Matters TV. She will be discussing relationships and how they shape our personal and professional lives. So join us in educating and inspiring conversation that reflects Dr. Jan's commitment to fostering understanding, empathy, and deeper connections in all aspects of life. Join us in welcoming Dr. Jan.
Well, good evening, one. Thank you so much for having me on your show this evening.
I
And
tell
thank
you,
you
the
so much
back to
for the
back.
introduction. You really
Huh?
made me sound like, oh, wait a minute, let me set up here straight.
Well, hey, I'm glad I could do you justice because it's all you. It's all you. So look, I we just did a back to back. Last week I was on your relationships matter, and here you are here tonight. I was telling you a little about what I do in Clear Journey, but now it's up to you to tell us what it is you do and how you do it, and more about yourself.
Well, thank you, thank you. Well, I am a relationship communications coach. I'm also an award winning author and an international speaker. I am all about relationships, how to have those relationships that you want to have, both personal and professional. And it's not always a clear journey, but but it's a journey that all of us are on. No matter what. We're on this journey, and I always like to say a wonderful, a good relationship is not a destination. It is a journey. And yeah, so right, play on words, right? And
Hey,
and I think that no matter where we are in our personal lives, in our professional lives, none of us are perfect. All of us need assistance and help with our relationships to have the kind of relationships that we want. And that's even me. Most people, I would say all people, I'm going to generalize all people. We need assistance, and we need coaching, and we need help. Because even when I hear people say, oh, I have a great relationship um, with my wife, with my husband, with my mom and dad, and uh, with my company, my colleagues. And then you start really speaking with them, and you ask, well, is it really perfect? Then you get down to, like they say, the nitty gritty. You get down to that, and it's, well, you know, I kind sometimes people really kind of misunderstand me, and it causes problems in my relationship. And so that's why I'm here. I'm here to coach and to assist people on having the personal and professional relationships that they want, that they want. That's who I am.
hey, and the thing about it is that many of us don't know that we don't have the relationship that we want until we recognize what it looks like. And in many cases, it takes somebody else from the outside to help you see what it is that you really, really might not be seeing for yourself. Um, Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that's very true. It's not. Well, I always say that communication has a lot to do with it. But a funny thing happened yesterday with me and my husband, and I like to talk about communication because to me, the communication is that groundwork for a good relationship. And so we were out having lunch, and so I looked at him and I said, I love you, right? And he said, oh Lord, here we go. Let me put my armor on. But the funny thing about and I started laughing. But the funny thing about it was he said, I said, well, why do you think you have to put your armor on? He said, because when you clear your throat, I know something's coming. He said, yes. I thought, I'm not going to clear my throat anymore. but I just happened to think of that because it's about communication. It's about verbal communication and it's about non.
Nonverbal. And that's what, and that's the point that you were sharing there, was is that he had established a relationship with you clearing your throat. And every time you clear your throat, you'd be like, uh-oh. He go, uh-oh. And we all do that, and especially in marital relationship or intimate relationships, is because we've been so close to a person, so we know their mannerisms and their things, and we sort of like shut down, or as your husband said, put my armor on. And that's the part that we don't give space to one another to be able to express themselves, because we're already putting up the defense.
Right, right,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly. And one that happens in personal and professional relationships. My niche, what my passion as far as relationships are concerned, is the adult daughter aging mother relationship. And I have clients, and that's what we talk about. Sometimes you put your armor up before you even hear what's happening. You sometimes it's like, as with my husband, what happened in the past, you know, how you communicated in the past. And it does take an outside person sometimes just to let you know, wait a minute, um, am I understanding what you said? Because usually the way you look at me, your body language, it's telling me something maybe just a little different from what you're saying verbally.
Hmm.
And I find that in a lot of relationships, it's communication issues. It's not listening, not effective listening, or as they say, active listening.
Hmm.
It's usually listening, and we're thinking of how we're going to respond. And so, therefore, misunderstandings. And we don't always verbalize our misunderstanding. We just take it in as, oh, well, this is what he meant, or this is what she meant, and go on and act on was what they perceived was what they were communicating with us. And a lot of times that's totally different. I've seen that in professional relationships between leaders and their employees. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that again, communication, as you've already alluded to, um, is the foundation of the relationship. And when there are misunderstandings,
Mm-hmm.
and there are many different causes for those misunderstandings.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why as I said earlier, I said, until somebody from the outside can allow you to see things a different way,
Mm-hmm.
because we know we have so many things that are built up that have caused us to think the way we think. And that's where we talk about attitudes and we talk about our mindset. It's the things that have established over time that now this is the way we think. This is the way we carry ourselves. And when someone pushes up against the way we think, automatically we're going to defend it.
Yes. It can be generational, it can be environmental.
Hmm.
I've found that most of it, for women especially, is generational. It came from, now this is my opinion,
Hmm.
it came from grandmother to mother to daughter. The way we respond to things, the way our attitudes about things, it doesn't just come from out of the air. It's and also our environment. You have to have certain attitudes in your relationships depending on your environment.
Can you dig into that a little bit and explain a little bit more about how you view how the environment affects your relationships?
Okay, let's say I'm in, or someone is in a household where there is let's say abuse. Okay, let's say physical abuse. Let's say this young man or this young woman grew up in a household where they see physical abuse. Maybe their mom was being physically abusive, or their father. Now, how do you think that they will relate to someone else in a personal or an intimate relationship? I've seen this. It can they have triggers. I'll say that. And so they might have seen that, okay, dad comes home and dad has a certain look on his face. Okay. Oh, now what does that mean? That means that there's going to be some arguments in place, or there's going to be and it's going to lead to abuse. Now, they're in another environment, and this environment may not be similar at all to that home environment, but they respond to the triggers that are from that abusive environment. They bring those triggers into that next environment or that next relationship, and then they respond according to what happened back then. So when I say environmental, that has a lot to do with it. And then also, if you think about it, in corporate America, sometimes um, you have to relate a little differently than how you would relate in your personal environment. So either it can go either way. Unfortunately, we're not always our authentic selves when we are thrust into, let's say, a different environment.
Yeah, yeah. Well, see, that's the whole thing, I guess. Being your authentic self is something that we talk about a lot on this in this podcast, and that is that you really can't establish any kind of meaningful relationships until you are operating in your authentic self. And so many of us don't know who we are authentically, and so we're expecting someone else to bring that to us, give us something that we've got to establish for ourselves. And as a result, we many times connect to something that's really not in our own best interest. Our relationships are not authentic at that point, and then they have tendencies to break down because they're not authentic.
Think about it, Juan. It's hard and sometimes scary to really know who you are. What do you think about that? Or to accept who you are?
I there are four prongs to that process that I talk about. And by no means, I talk about this in my book, Love Made Simple. It's not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. And so when I say that, I'm talking about knowing self, accepting self, developing self. And those steps of knowing self is where you get into when I was talking about that attitude of really beginning to be humble enough to realize that you need help, that you don't know it all, and that you really have to find your weaknesses. You got to find your weaknesses and then begin to embrace those weaknesses. Nobody's perfect, and we all have weaknesses. And unfortunately, we spend our lives trying to mask those weaknesses instead of we have to embrace them and say, okay, maybe this is not my strength, but I need someone who knows that or has that ability. And see, now once I know my weakness, I can go find somebody that can aid and assist me in that weakness so that I can give to them what they need and how hopefully they can give me what I need. That's where that relationship is symbiotic when it really begins to, I give you what you need and you give me what I need, not trying to give everybody what everybody thinks they need the same thing.
Right.
It's not.
Right.
So yeah, it's very difficult, but it's very intentional.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's I have an exercise where I tell my clients, I said, what I want you to do is look in the mirror. Look into your eyes. Look and see who you are. And a lot of them tell me, ooh, I had stopped because because they start seeing some of the weaknesses and they don't like them because they've never accepted them. And in order to be authentic, in order to be in a relationship that is symbiotic, you need to know who you are. And a lot of people say, oh, yeah, I know who I am. I'm this, I'm that, I'm the other. But it's always that positive side. But
Mm-hmm.
when you say, okay, well, yeah, that's well and good, but tell me something that you don't like about yourself.
Mm. Now
Oh,
you getting into something that ain't there. Look, nobody has any of those.
no. Oh, and and I and to me, and you have to be vulnerable. It's like I always say, just imagine a zipper from here to there and unzip, unzip, unzip. And until you are completely open, completely honest, completely vulnerable, it's hard because you can get to the point where, if I let anyone, even someone who I want to have an intimate relationship with, if I let that person know this about me, oh, they're not going to accept me. They're not going to like me. That can be in an intimate relationship. That can be in a just like a person, a friend, a colleague. No, and I really celebrate people who can really tell you who they are, their weaknesses, the pluses about them, the things they love about them, the things that they don't like about themselves, and where they feel that they need help.
Well, and that's it. Because life is about growing. If you already had it all fixed and figured out, you wouldn't need to grow.
That's true.
And life is about growing. And it's about, if you're not growing, you're dead. And if you're dead, hey, what are you doing here? So the concept here is that nobody's figured it all out. But the fact is that we all got to have a desire to want to grow and to understand that there's only growth when you know that there's a need to grow. And see,
Yeah.
the biggest challenges that we run into is that we don't know we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know that we don't know. If we can get past that hump, to know, realize that it's some stuff that we don't know. I don't care how much you know, it's some more stuff that you don't. And it's in that space where we need to be conscious of and saying, okay, I can get something new out of it. And that's how we begin to see value in each other, because there's other people that have what you need.
Ooh, most definitely.
Yeah. And that's the thing. So let me ask, what brought you into this line of work? What brought you into relationship expert?
Okay, well, I'll go back quite a few years. When I first started teaching, I was a special education teacher, and I was at this new school. So this young lady walked up to me, and she introduced herself. And she said, "Hi, I'm not going to say her name, but I'll just use the name. I'm Sandra." And she said that I looked at her, and I'm tall, and she's like maybe about 3 inches shorter than me. And she said, I looked at her, I had this haughty, just kind of looking down on her kind of attitude. And I just said, "Oh, hello." And she told me this later. She said, "Well, I decided I was going to be your friend anyway." And I thought, wait a minute, is that the way, I come off? And so she told me that's the way that you come off to people. So, And then she said, also, it's the way you talk to people sometimes. So now let me jump forward. As I said, I'm an aging mother, adult daughter aging mother relationship coach. And my mom and I, as I got older, we bumped heads a lot. I could say blue, she said it was black, whatever. But anyway, I said, "Well, Mom, why is it that whenever, we have a conversation, we always argue, you always take the things I say the wrong way?" She said, "Janice, it's the way you look at me, it's the words you use, it's your body language, it's the tone of your voice, it's all of that." And so I started thinking, wait a minute, I wonder if this is the issue at work now when I talk about communication and relationships. I was in this big meeting, and it was a big round table, and we were brainstorming. And we were charged to come up with a program or a technique to help kids improve their reading comprehension. So when it was my turn, I stood up and I said what I had to say. I had this brilliant idea. And around the table, got like, yeah, okay. Okay, maybe about 10 minutes later, someone else said the same thing differently. And it was, "Oh, that is great. That's something that we're going to implement." And I'm sitting back, wait a minute, think that. What is happening here? That's number one. Number two, why is it that I'm having difficulties establishing these relationships, within the school? What was it? So I thought about what my mom said. And I said, you know what? Why am I having difficulties in my personal and my in the relationship that I wanted, to have the best relationship. And my professional relationships, it's all about the way I'm communicating. That's really how I got into it because I started noticing not just me, but different people and how they would relate to other people. I also started listening to my friends about why, the man quit them, so to speak, you know, uh, and listening to the ones who were married, you know, why they couldn't understand, we just don't seem to be able to communicate. Our relationship is going down the tubes. And that's really how I kind of got into it. I started reading, I started doing classes, I started doing research, and I thought, you know what? People are having problems in their relationships because of the way they communicate. That's really how I got into it.
You know, I would venture to say that that is the aha moment that most people have as it pertains to communication. Because that, I mean, you're absolutely, and you basically read my bio with that one.
Mhm.
Because it's very interesting that what you said there transcends personal and professional. and it really comes from a place. And you tell me if what you think about this. It comes from a place of confidence that's perceived as arrogance.
Yeah.
And but here's the thing. It could be arrogance if it's not presented properly. Because what we're talking about and what we've been talking about here, all this whole episode here, is about being confident in who you are, being that authentic self. Because being authentic is something that most people can't relate to. They can't receive authentic, because it's that vulnerability. When you present vulnerability, you look at somebody, you're weird. Who presents vulnerability? And when you're able to be vulnerable, there's a degree of confidence that you have in yourself that surpasses any other circumstances, and it will blow people's minds. And then
Mhm.
for them to be able to receive what you have to say, it can't be true. that
Right.
that's just that's just that's just their pompness. They're being pompous in sharing that because they want people to know that they know, but that can't be true.
Yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
think?
I agree with you. I really do. Um, when people, when you meet a person like that, you have perceptions of who that person is according to who you are,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you are a person who believes in yourself, who knows who you are, and you're vulnerable and you're authentic and you meet someone else like that, you recognize that in them. And so you're not thinking, oh, they're arrogant, oh, they think this, oh, they're this, oh, that. You recognize that. But now, if you're not that person, if you're a person who doesn't know themselves, or who has not who might even know themselves, but who hasn't really shared it or put it out there, or they're scared to hold it in, then you meet someone who's very sure of who they are. It's two ways they look at it. They look at it as envious. Oh, I wish I was like that. Sometimes they look at it as, well, I don't know why they're saying this and saying that. They're being arrogant or pompous or whatever you want to put it. But like I said, you recognize, if you are that person, you recognize the other person. That's where we should all try to get to.
Mm-hmm.
It is a journey. It is a journey. It is.
Mm-hmm.
It took me a while.
Oh, look, and it doesn't happen overnight, nor does it happen accidentally.
Right.
Or it doesn't happen accidentally. And so it's a very intentional journey.
Yeah.
It's
You
a
have to work.
very intent. Yeah, I mean, it's very intentional. Um, can you tell us one thing that you have found that really changed? I mean, you told us your story as it relates to your mom and your job, but was there one instance or one thing that you used to be able to bridge those gaps, or those deficiencies, so to speak, that you came aware of?
I learned to listen. Now that sounds like, what? Well, no. I learned to listen.
Now you got to break that down, right?
Okay. I listen, of course, like, it's the difference in listening and hearing, because you hear with your ears, right? But you listen with your mind, and you listen with your heart. And when you're listening, and it's difficult, you have to be non-judgmental, and you have to not think of how you're going to respond to whatever it is that person is saying to you. It's difficult because you can be in a place. It's like, let's say you see someone in the morning And you say, oh, good morning. And they, good morning. All right. How do I listen to that? I don't listen thinking, well, evidently they didn't want to say good morning to me, so I bet I won't say good morning to them anymore. No, you listen. I'm listening like I'm not being judgmental. It's like for some reason, this person, I don't know where they're coming from. I'm not going to judge where I think they're coming from. I'm not going to respond in here as they didn't want to speak to me. I don't know. I don't know. It's called effective listening and it's called active listening. And it's hard to do. So you have to listen with your mind, you got to listen with your heart. You got to look at that person. And if you take all of that in, I just learned to take all of that in. And it's difficult, you know. I mean, it's just like we're having a conversation, and I have to keep in here, listen to what one is, is asking me or saying to me without thinking, okay, what am I gonna say to that? Because then I miss out. And that's to me, that when I found that out, that I didn't listen, that I only heard, I didn't listen, it was a game changer.
Would you say that that's also the biggest tool in conflict management and being able to resolve conflicts?
Oh yes. Oh yes. Let's say a person says something to you. Your best and your best bet is to say, what I'm hearing is, so you're putting it not on them, but you're thinking, you're putting it on you. Well, what I'm hearing is such and such and such a thing. Or are you saying such and such and such a thing? Because when you say that, you clear up that maybe that misunderstanding. Because a person could say a certain thing to you. It's in my book, because I do have a book, and the book is entitled "The Secrets to How Not to Throw Mama from the Train."
Wow.
No, the aging mother book. But then I'm also I'm in a collab book where I have the opening chapter, and the chapter is your voice being heard. So it goes all into that communication stuff. But it, to me, that is the foundation that keeps you from having misunderstandings. If you're not really sure of what a person means, or even sometimes if you even feel that you know what a person means, that's not always it. It's easy to ask, do you mean such and such and such? Because I'm hearing such and such, or I might be mistaken, but put it on you, you know, and not on the other person. Yeah, yeah. It causes that. Oh, that causes a lot of misunderstandings. Well, you said, and then they can say, that's not what I meant, but that's what you said. But that's not what I meant.
That in and of itself is a major um, conflict, because you're talking, your emphasis of the conversation is in one area, and the other person, the person who was actually saying it, their emphasis was in a different area, and you taking the wrong emphasis of the conversation, so you're answering a question that they didn't ask in essence. And so it becomes very difficult to communicate with that being the case. So
And I'm going to take that back to what we talked about, generational and environment.
mhm.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. And the thing about it is that you have no idea what that implication was, based on that generational or environmental experience that person had, because it wasn't you. You didn't have it.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. That is awesome. So go ahead and tell us about your book then, since that you didn't brought it out, and I don't have it up on the thing, but you're
No
gonna be able.
problem.
You could.
And
They
I
can
don't
get
have
it.
it.
They can get it from your website, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's called The Secrets. Oh, here it is. It just so happened that I have it right here.
Yeah.
It's called The Secrets to How Not to Throw Mama from the Train. It's all about the relationship between adult daughters and their moms, how to navigate the challenges in that relationship, because this relationship affects everything. It
that
affects,
Go ahead. That because
no,
I wanted to piggyback on that because
yeah, it affects
how
our personal
influential.
and our professional relationships. You'd be surprised. I was surprised. It even affects for women the careers that they choose.
Okay, you got to give us a bit. How is that the case? How does the let's take one for instance. How does that mother daughter relationship impact let's say another a husband wife relationship?
Ah, what kind of husband does the young lady choose? Ah, because she has watched her mom. And it can be, I'm not going to be subservient like my mom, or I'm not going to be independent like my mom. So I'm going to choose. So it can go either way. But women watch their mom and how they relate to their father or even to other men. And a lot of times it's subconscious, you know. Um, some women choose men or choose a husband who's very, very, let's say, dominant because they want to feel subservient or they want to feel like uh, they don't have to make any decisions or anything like that because maybe they watched their mom and their mom was stressed out all the time because she was always the one that had to make the decisions. It also determines whether or not a woman even gets married. It determines whether or not she has any children, how she raises her children. It in my instance, when I said your profession, I always thought my mother was controlling. So I didn't want a job where I had a supervisor right over me. So everything I chose, from a two-girl office where the boss was way down to even teaching, because I'm in a room all by myself.
Hmm.
Ah, you know, so it 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 subconsciously it controls all aspects of our life. Yours, men and women. Think about it. Football players would say, "Hi, mom." They don't say, "Hi, dad."
Well, it's very interesting that you say that because I was wondering how then do men understand how the women and mothers, the daughter mother daughter relationship has impacted them as it relates to how do they recognize that? How do they recognize that impact?
They have to. The only way that I feel they can recognize it is to have a conversation with their wife. Some husbands are not supportive because they don't understand. But you have to have a conversation with your wife and you have to be observant. You have to be aware. I have controlling tendencies, so my husband says, because I don't see it. But but you know what? How do I control those controlling tendencies that are generational? When my husband says to me, "Okay, Mrs. Travis, that's my mama's name," and I'm, "Oh, okay," you know, he's
That
observant. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing about it is that it's an understanding that you and he have, that it's not to be. It's like, hey, you're doing it again,
Yeah,
but without saying, look, let's. It ain't gonna be something that I ain't gonna. We're not gonna fight about this. It's
right.
just that I need you to be aware that that's what you're doing right now, and
Yeah,
it's not offending you to be brought in remembrance of the fact that that's what you're doing.
right, right. And I look back and okay, so you know, sometimes it's like, well, I want to be, but then sometimes it's like, but no, it's not going to work in this relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. So that being said, then, if you were to say that there was one thing that really helped you navigate this information that you've gained over these many years, what would you say would be the one bit of advice that you would give to the audience, as it relates to communicating in any type of relationship?
Give the other person the benefit of the doubt
Wow. Wow. Is that across the board? How do you say, how do you use that?
across the board.
Across the board.
Even when you hear something or see something that you feel is totally out of the box, give that person the benefit of the doubt because you don't know where that person is coming from.
That could eliminate a lot of misunderstandings, a lot of communication problems in and of itself, a lot of conflicts. That's a great bit of advice to be able to give the other person. Now, what does it take to give that other person the benefit of the doubt?
It's hard, but not being judgmental. Just think, well, okay, they're saying this. I don't know why they're saying this, but I know it's not, they're not, they're not in the now. They're back here somewhere. Don't want to get into politics, but you can
Yeah.
see on both sides
Yeah.
where they come from, both sides.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you
Yeah.
can see why this person says that and why this person says that.
Yeah. I use the word, I said um we have to be compassionate in the sense of understanding that everybody has value, and to be able to do that we have to have some sort of compassion for one another. As you said, give them the benefit of the doubt. They have a perspective, is the word that I use,
Okay.
and that perspective is valuable. And until you understand where that perspective comes from, um, you know, and the other part of that is the reason where that I will say people have a problem or issue with giving them the benefit of the doubt, because that benefit of the doubt, giving them the benefit of the doubt, rubs you the wrong way. It really pushes up against something that you have a wall up,
Mhm.
and it makes it extremely difficult for you to give them the benefit of the doubt, because it questions you.
Yeah.
And that's where it really gets difficult to give them the benefit of the doubt. So everything that we've been talking about, it's so interesting how it really comes back to that point where if you know who you are, it's more relevant. It's easier for you to give the other person the benefit of the doubt, because it's not intimidating.
Yeah.
It's not intimidating you to give them the benefit of the doubt. It doesn't cost you anything to give them the benefit of the doubt, because you know who you are, and it doesn't affect you to
Yeah.
give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
So that's a real good piece of advice there. Um, is there anything that you would like to leave the audience with, or let the audience know about what's going on with Dr. Jan?
Well, what they can do is go to my website and I'm having it redone and it's going to be some marvelous things. I mean, I'm into AI now.
And there goes Dr. Jan's website.
Yes, www.drjanicespeaks.com. And just for audio, DRJANICE speaks.com. Now, if you would like some conversation with me about your relationships, I do just because you're on Juan Lee's
Clear Journey.
clear journey. Yeah, a clear journey.
It's like
You like
it's
a
Life
clear
Live.
journey. If you want to clear up your journey, your relationship
Absolutely.
journey,
Absolutely.
then you can email me at drjan@drjanicefortman.com. That's DRJAN at DRJANICEFORTMAN.com. And you can have a free, and I usually charge for this, but you got
Whoa.
to say where you heard me and where
All
you
right.
seen me. Half an hour discovery call, and we can have a chat about your relationships. If I can help you as your coach, I will be very happy to. If I can't, I have resources that I can point you to.
And that's what a Clear Journey is all about. Education and resources. That's exactly what we're here for. And what do you do? And what's your podcast? I'm going to let people know about your podcast. It is.
Relationship Matters TV. You have to make sure you put TV. So you can go to Facebook and type in Relationship Matters TV. You know, I'm a little old school. I said type, but
Hey,
enter
y'all enter. Yeah, there you go. They typing it. They typing it as see. Ooh, don't nobody.
Relation, Relationship Matters TV. And if you would, I know I didn't give you this information, but if you would like to see all of my episodes, just go on YouTube and type in Dr. Janice Hooker Fortman, and you
Okay.
can, or Dr. Janice Fortman, and you can watch all of my episodes. And if you'd like to be on my show, then email me at drjan@drjanicefortman.com.
There you go. There you go. I tell you, this has been a very good conversation, and I tell you, the relationship span and where you talk about communication, it's priceless. I mean, because like you said, the communication it's the foundation for every relationship. And the thing that we talk about as a relationship is those things that you have in common. That communication is the things that we have in common. And the more we're able to clearly understand who we are, the better we are to being able to communicate with the people that we need to communicate with to really make the connections that we need to be able to be having a fulfilling life. And that's what we talk about at Clear Journey. And so you really fit in very well with what we do here at Clear Journey and here at Real Life. It's Life Live.
All right.
So,
Well, thank you so much for having me. I have really enjoyed being on your show. I
well,
really have.
great. Well, I tell you, we're going to be doing some more things, and maybe we can have you on because I'm looking to do some other things, more different programming for Clear Journey in the next quarter. I believe we're going to be launching uh, another show. It's going to be more intricately about love, the philosophy of love, and how we manifest that in our daily lives. So it's the science behind love.
Okay.
Um,
Interesting.
so I want to again thank you very much. No, don't go away. We're going to wrap up the show. We really appreciate you offering your free 30-minute consult to our audience. So hopefully they will take that up with you, and we will be in touch with you in the future. But let me close this off and thank you very much.
And thank you.
All righty. Well, all right, people, we do thank you again for spending your Wednesday night with us. We really appreciate it. It has been a pleasure with you all being with us. Uh, if you have not subscribed to our channel, please go over to our YouTube channel, which is Clear Journey, or go over to our website, And by all means, if you feel the need or the urge to want to support us, as we want to be here for you, to support you on your journey in all areas of life, feel free to be a part of the community. We have a newsletter. We have pick up the book, the budgeting made simple, or the budgeting easy budgeting book. It's an ebook. It comes to you free. Just go over and get it. We really appreciate that. It's for you. And we look forward to you coming back and being with us again next week here at the same time. Just hoping that Oliver will be here next week. And we look forward to seeing you then. Um, as usual, if we didn't say it, we always say it. We can't change life, but we can help you navigate through it. So until next time, look forward to seeing you then. I'm going to